You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in. Before you get the rest of the story, I'd love to share a quick message from today's sponsor. Hey y'all, just going to take a quick break from this conversation to let you know about the sponsor of today's episode. That sponsor is, well, frankly, it's me. It's Leigh Brown University. Look, it's no secret that real estate is crazy competitive, getting more so every day. And when the pie doesn't get any bigger, but the people wanting a piece of it do, you've got to figure out a competitive advantage. And that's why I created Leigh Brown University. It's everything you need from soup to nuts, cradle to grave, point A to point B, whatever point B is. Each of you has different goals. So maybe you're a new to the career realtor, or you're a super experienced pro who can't figure out that next level. There's something in my course that's going to help you break through. It's designed for you before I even met you. So enroll in Leigh Brown University today. You go to www.leighbrownu.com and I'll see you there. Now, back to this amazing content. So, hey friends, I'm Leigh Brown. Welcome back to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. And I know that you're here for the same reason that everybody else is here, because it's all the stuff that HGTV really should have on the channel, but they're chicken, and we are not chicken over here, because it takes nerves of steel and really a big constitution to survive in anything related to real estate. And as a proof of that, my guest today actually is a real estate survivor and thriver, Shad Boucher. And of course, you'll hear all the history of his name here shortly. Shad, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big fanboy. It's really kind of an honor to be on.
Well, you're kind of funny because you made your agents fans of mine too, and I appreciate that because I love them so much, and they're so good on Instagram. You've got really good people working with you.
I tell people all the time, I fell into the kind of the coaching role naturally, and I tell people that I don't actually make typical agents. I build badass unicorns, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Let me write that down, that I build badass unicorns, because I love that so much. That is exactly who you do hire. I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so see, I'll tell you, that's one of the crazy things in real estate, y'all, is you never know what real estate's going to do to your life trajectory and what kind of a job you're going to wind up in, even though you start off in sales like most of us do. I did, and I'm not doing that nearly as much as I had ought to, but I still have prospects on my whiteboard, and you're still probably doing a little bit of retail real estate from time to time, helping your agents. So, Shad, tell them how long you've been in the game, where you're located, all that fun stuff. So I'm actually located in Tampa, Florida. It's actually a little city outside it called Lutz, which everybody always calls Lutz. I've been in the business for about 20 years. I guess one of my biggest achievements was I was the actual RE/MAX Manager of the Year for the United States for 2018.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's big.
Whoop. Yeah, I got a trophy and a medal, which is kind of cool. But I mean, honestly, tell you the truth, I've fallen into the coaching realm now, which is my role here at the office. It's actually what I love because it allows me to succeed through others and also to kind of make sure that they get to aspire to their dreams and that we build actual agents and people that are part of the community and not just some kind of cookie cutter churned out people. So that's my big thing, but it's just a great industry to be in.
So is it Boucher? Because that's how I say it in my head.
It is Boucher. It actually is Boucher.
I mean, I think most Southern people would say Boucher, but I figured it was Boucher.
Believe it or not, it's actually Boucher.
Really?
Not to give you too much history, but I know you like history. There's two lines of the family. One is French. They immigrated to Canada. The other line actually left France and went to Germany, where the name is pronounced Boucher. And
that's very aggressive.
Right. And then those people ended up in Pennsylvania.
So they were Pennsylvania Germans, but not Pennsylvania Dutch. Your family's complicated, Shad.
Correct. So it's Boucher because the CH goes silent.
So how do you pronounce it?
It's Boucher. Look.
But you're I don't care what you call me as long as you call me.
There you go. I had enough people messing with my first name that I didn't need to have a last name of Boucher when I was in school. So I just kind of let it go. I was like, it's Boucher.
Shad's a popular fish, so didn't that help you at all?
No, because it's actually two D's, which is not the fish. But the funny thing is, if you go west of like New Mexico, it's a very popular name. I've met a Shad the Third. And it's very popular. And that's where my dad was in Texas when he heard it.
Well, Shad Bogany, one of our realtor volunteers from Houston.
Yeah, that's it. Out in Texas, it's a very, very popular name.
Who knew? I didn't know that. See, we've learned something new today already.
There you go. Really love it.
So is it Boucher? Because that's how I say it in my head.
It is Boucher. It actually is Boucher.
I mean, I think most Southern people would say Boucher, but I figured it was Boucher.
Believe it or not, it's actually Boucher.
Really?
Not to give you too much history, but I know you like history. There's two lines of the family. One is French. They immigrated to Canada. The other line actually left France and went to Germany, where the name is pronounced Boucher. And
that's very aggressive.
Right. And then those people ended up in Pennsylvania.
So they were Pennsylvania Germans, but not Pennsylvania Dutch. Your family's complicated, Shad.
Correct. So now it's Boucher because the CH goes silent.
So how do you pronounce it?
It's Boucher. Look.
But you're I don't care what you call me as long as you call me.
There you go. I had enough people messing with my first name that I didn't need to have a last name of Boucher when I was in school. So I just kind of let it go. I was like, it's Boucher.
Shad's a popular fish, so didn't that help you at all?
No, because it's actually two D's, which is not the fish. But the funny thing is, if you go west of like New Mexico, it's a very popular name. I've met a Shad the Third. And it's very popular. And that's where my dad was in Texas when he heard it.
Well, Shad Bogany, one of our realtor volunteers from Houston.
Yeah, that's it. Out in Texas, it's a very, very popular name.
Who knew? I didn't know that. See, we've learned something new today already.
There you go.
So how did you wind up in real estate?
This is really funny. I actually used to be in retail. I sold a pair of sunglasses to the cheapest person in Tampa. He was a broker. He basically came back and said I needed to be selling real estate, not sunglasses. Later on, I went through real estate school. I joined his office. I modernized him and married his daughter. Pretty much that's how I ended up with my first broker. And we had a title mortgage and a real estate company. He was very old school. In fact, he was actually originally offered the master franchise for Century 21 for all of Massachusetts. He turned it down. My father-in-law's had many should-have moments that never went anywhere. But then when the downturn started happening, since I was from retail, I could read P&Ls and see the writing on the wall. So I kind of tried to get him to turn the ship, and I got told that he'd been doing this for 40 years and knew what he was doing. So I basically took a management position with a large Century 21 brokerage because it was a guaranteed paycheck and a guaranteed contract. And that's how I fell into the management side of it. But I had been doing that for multiple years anyway.
Right.
So it was just a natural progression, and then got into luxury real estate from there, and then split off for a while, believe it or not, got out of the business and started working back in corporate America for a company that wanted to bring do not call compliance to the real estate industry.
Was that during the recession that you went into a real job?
Sort of about 2010, 2011.
That would be recessionary times.
Yeah, it was there. And it was a consulting contract for 18 months. It was much money to turn down. I went there and I really was using that as a stopgap, to be honest with you, for figuring out what my next move was, what I wanted to do next. And it just so happens that while I was playing with that, Kendall Bonner, who's the broker here, was awarded a RE/MAX.
Love Kendall.
Little known fact, I am the person that brought her into real estate. I hired her at Century 21.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So she worked for me at one point.
Well, she's definitely a badass unicorn. There's no question about that.
You're not kidding me. In fact, she just graced the Inman stage yesterday, which I was really, really super proud of her.
I didn't catch that. Go Kendall.
Yeah, she was on there yesterday. I was really, really super proud of her. She crushed it. But yeah, so she actually opened this RE/MAX, and I was really kind of just doing a fact-finding mission to see if I wanted to franchise or not franchise. And basically, long story short, she said, I need you. And I said, well, I don't want to compete with you, so let's do this. 5 years later, here we are.
So far, real estate's given you a wife, viewpoints on why we don't say that's not the way we've always done it.
There you go.
It's puts you in management for an amazing broker owner.
Yeah. It got me a multi six-figure consulting contract with a large company out of Boston. I mean, yeah.
So I want to hear more about the do not call compliance, because I'm fascinated by that. Because frankly, I will tell you, Shad, I don't feel like it works for shit because my phone rings all the time. And when I tell people I'm on the do not call list, they just click and go away.
Sure.
So,
well, and that's because they're spoofing numbers out of India and stuff like that, where the call compliance doesn't work, which is...
You mean Canada? They all say they're from Canada. Their name is John.
Exactly. And they also say their name is Steve. Yeah, exactly. But no, it's a company called Griffin. They do not call compliance for some of the largest industries out there: financial, automotive, medical, all those things. And we did it for a while. We tried to open the vertical, and actually we even had a meeting with NAR in Chicago. And they basically said, nope, our members don't need this. If you want to do it, you have to sell it to them. And we want you to give us money for the right to do so, for us to endorse you and whatever. So it just became too much of a cost investment before any kind of return situation. But no, Griffin has a fantastic, you can call it an app, but it's not really an app. It's actually, it replaces the dialer on your phone. So you dial through it. And within about half a millisecond, it runs state do not call list, enterprise do not call list, and federal do not call list. Then it will actually connect you with them. They have like cutting edge analytics and AI. They can tell you on the phone if the person is aggressive or smiling and all kinds of stuff like that. The calls are automatically recorded. Look, I'll be honest with you. I wish I could get it to start working again because it was a great opportunity to bring a modernization to our business that we don't have now.
Why don't y'all buy it for your brokerage? Is it too expensive for a small operator?
It is pretty expensive for a small operator, which is why we were trying to go in at either the NAR level or come in at the actual franchise level, the Remax, the Berkshire Hathaway, that level to try to get it in there. But it is fairly expensive for a small operator.
Well, you have to go back to Griffin and tell him to make a small enterprise version of it on an app that could be purchased, because you might make up the volume on small dollars, because lesson one in business school.
Mm-hmm. No, I've thought about it. In fact, every time that there seems to be something comes up after do not call, I always forward the emails just to see see if there's any interest though.
That's crazy. All right. So anyway, I totally distracted us there because I'm fascinated by that. So in the 20 years you've been in real estate,
yep,
and even in management, you get to see different things. But I'm curious as to what you came up with for your crazy story, because, hey, full disclosure, audience, Shad was all whiny and stuff when I asked him why he wouldn't be on the show, because he stalks the show. And he said, I don't have anything to say. And I said, bullshit, because I knew he had something to tell us. And it didn't take him long thinking about it to realize that, like the rest of y'all know, Leigh Brown is right. So anyway, now that you know Leigh Brown is right, I think you should tell your story.
So I think one of the things that nobody ever explains to you when you get into this business is how much you will honestly deal with the supernatural. We all hear of that house that's haunted, right? But we don't think about our clients and the superstitions they bring culturally to the sale.
You mean like the fact that Asian people will know when somebody has died in a house? Because I will never understand. They know. It's crazy.
100%. And I'll be honest with you, even when I came up with this, I was thinking about it. I literally came up with about 10 transactions that come to my mind that it played a major factor. I sold a home to a dowser from Connecticut.
Like the people with the stick that find water? They're still around?
Oh, yeah. And this cat was buying a $500,000 house cash. So who am I to say that his magic stick don't work, right?
Yeah, no argument.
Yeah. So I got curious and I was like, so what do you do? And I took him to a home, and here in Florida, we have sprinkler systems. All of our law, it's a must. Your grass is dead if you don't have an automatic sprinkler system. And so I asked him, I said, hey, can you show me? And he walked right to the first sprinkler head. Like from the car, got his dowsing rods and walked. And then he told me where the water lines were running in the yard. So I was like, okay, whatever. But the point of this is he could feel the earth lines so much, according to him, that he had to douse the master bedroom, because if there were any of those water lines or channels running under the master bedroom, he couldn't sleep.
So I don't understand any of this, but I wish I knew him, because I sold a house one time that had a spring in the crawl space. And if we'd had him, we might not have had people buy that house, because they did not know, because it was a drought time. Can a dowsing person find out the water if it's drought season? Do they know? Drought season.
So apparently, according to him, he doesn't actually follow water. The water itself follows energy channels in the earth.
Like chi? Is this something? This has to do with chi, right?
They're actually called ley lines, believe it or not. There's major ones and there's smaller ones and veins. And he had a brass set of these dowsing rods. They were not he didn't just pick a willow branch. He had serious stuff. Again, in this business, you have to be careful of going, okay, look, you and your hokum can just go that direction, right?
I never ever do that, because people know things, they just do. So
absolutely.
Can I get some dowsing rods and be taught, or do you have to be granted that gift from the Lord?
Apparently you have to be sensitive. Apparently you have to be sensitive. Well, exactly. I'm not sensitive either. I can find a whiskey bottle, but I sure as heck can't find water under the earth, right? And honestly, we looked at 5 houses. He dismissed 4. And the fifth one, when the rods didn't cross in the bedroom, he put a full price offer in and bought it.
So can you use him for other clients? Like, is he on your vendor list?
Well,
Because
he
I would
was,
put him on my
unfortunately,
vendor list.
he was very old when I sold him the house in '05, and unfortunately he's passed away.
Damn it,
But,
Shad.
I
was
know.
ready to come meet him.
Well, I got you, but I do know that he did actually do business with some people a little north of where his house was and tell them where to dig wells. And he did.
How do you find a dowser nowadays? Is there like a National Association of Dowsers?
I don't believe so, but to be honest with you, I think they're very prevalent up in Vermont and Connecticut. Those original colonies, they're like a thing, and people swear by them. And well, it is, and that's just, like I said, that's just one instance.
It's going to be a realtor designation next. You know that, right? There's going to be like an 8-hour class.
A
you can
dowsing.
be a certified dowsing professional.
I think you could be, but
I would like to be one. I would take that class, frankly, because I'm fascinated by the fact that this is real.
And he was very serious about it. And I had to be careful because, when I was selling houses in the 2000s, I was 26, 27, 28. I was like, what?
Your brain wasn't finished yet. Let's just be honest. It was still clicking in the frontal lobe.
Absolutely. So I was real quick to go, huh? And nope, he was dead serious. I also helped a young Spanish couple find a house, but their grandma had to pick it. And
why did she pick? Did she have the attachment to the property?
So in the Latin culture, there is a thing called an asabache. Okay, it's actually a piece of coal that spins on a little medallion. You wear it. You ever heard of an Italian horn?
Yes.
Okay, Italian horns are for warding off the evil eye in the Italian culture. The asabache is the same thing in the Latin culture. Okay, now again, see, this is nothing I knew before coming into real estate and ever thought I would ever care to know.
Right.
But grandma had to walk through the house and she was looking for cucuys.
I love that word.
Well, so do I, and it's fun to say, but in the Mexican folklore, that is the boogeyman.
Like Beetlejuice?
So she had to find out if there was a cucuy, and then when we found a house that was cucuy free, I had to, at the home inspection, put a glass of water in the master bedroom overnight and make sure there was no bubbles in the water the next day, because that meant there were evil spirits and they get trapped in the water. So she slept with a glass of water by her bedside every night, and that was to trap evil spirits trying to get at her.
I hope she took all the aerators off the faucets, because it'd be hard to get you bubbles out nowadays in these hotels with their water
I don't disagree.
Sources.
But it was amazing because I had to do a home inspection on a Thursday and then come back Friday and look at this water.
You're going to get your radon canister anyway. You just as well check the water while you're there.
That's exactly
consolidating
it.
trips.
But the funny thing is, after I decided this was kind of what I was going to talk about today, are you familiar with Real Estate Mastermind? It's a large Facebook group, 53,000 people. Okay, this was literally a post from the other day, and I'm going to read it for you because I screenshotted it. I'm going to read it for you verbatim. What do you say to someone who claims they/someone they know sees a demon in their home?
Oh, you watched Leigh Brown's video for how to remove demons from your house.
There you go. And there was 321 comments on this when I grabbed it, and 21 of those were just like ha 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 whatever. The rest of these were serious, like step-by-step situations.
You burn sage. I mean, I am from North Carolina, and I have learned enough about this. You burn sage to clear the house. Right.
And there was a lady in here named Megan. We'll keep her last name anonymous. She gave a post this long on everything from you have to go to a botanica and get rue hyssop and eucalyptus and this Kanga water and 1800 tobacco. You mop the floors. Like, she was dead serious.
Of all my videos on YouTube, there is one called How to Remove Demons, because I ran into this with a client several years ago, and the comment thread on that one is very, very weird and interesting, because your hardcore Christians are like, you are against the Lord because you talked about demons, and they get very angry at me. And then the demon people are like, you're not detailed enough, and then they give 87 paragraphs about how I'm supposed to have told people. And then you have the other people that are like, what? It's just... the topics are never going to be taught in pre-licensing though, Shad. I mean, how do you prepare one of your badass unicorns for dealing with?
I think it comes back demons. To just realizing that you listen to people, understand, and then try to educate yourself. And don't come back and be like, you're crazy.
Right. You can't belittle this stuff. I mean.
No. Again, I don't know if this guy could really find water in the ground. But like I said, he bought a $500,000 house cash, which Who am I to say at that point?
And he wasn't wrong about the irrigation lines.
Nope. And he wasn't. And I actually watched the little rods he have crossed in 4 out of 5 master bedrooms, right? And he signed a contract within probably 30 minutes of those things not crossing in that 5th bedroom. So I think you just have to start educating yourself on other people's cultures and realize that even though it may not be real to you, it is certainly real to them. And you have to try to help them to facilitate that. And the biggest thing is I have to facilitate that with other realtors. Like
right.
When I told a listing agent that I wanted to leave a glass of water in the house overnight, that kind of went wrong. Now, 46-year-old me would have said, hey, we need to go back and retrieve something the next morning. I probably wouldn't have explained it as crystal detail as I did when I was in my 20s. But yeah, you've got to be okay with this stuff. And you're right. A lot of Japanese people, Korean people, they walk into a house, they know somebody died in that joint like within seconds.
Well, and the first time I encountered that, I was showing the house to a family and they were Asian, and the grandmother got to the door and she wouldn't go in. And she explained, they told me by translation that she wasn't coming in because somebody had died there. And I said, there's no way. And of course, I'm thinking this is all crazy, not real stuff. And then it didn't take a whole lot of research. This was in the era before Google, because this was back when I was new in real estate. I had to go look at the microfilm at the library, and I looked it up, and sure as the world, there'd been a death in that house. And how she knew it, I don't have any way of knowing, but it is a wonderful learning experience for any realtor. And frankly, Shab, this is when it's harder for an older realtor to get it sometimes, because older realtors get so hung up in how much they know and what is not. And sometimes it's our newer realtors among us that are the ones most willing to ask questions because they haven't seen it. They post it in a Facebook group and they get all the feedback. But at the end of the day, it's ask lots of questions. But Howard Brenton told us this, and one of our most wonderful trainers in real estate, who's been gone now for several years, always said, come at this from get out of judgment and into curiosity.
Correct. Listen to understand. Even when it's a
supernatural.
And especially when it's a supernatural, because I'll be honest, it's amazing. You know, they say that sometimes you can't unsee what you've seen. I walk around now and I'm like, oh, that's an asabache. Oh, that's an Italian horn. That's what this ward's off. And yeah, now you can't unsee it. And I thought it was just jewelry at one point.
So my question is this: do you leave a glass of water by your bedside looking for bubbles?
I'm not going to answer that for fear of maybe possibly incriminating myself. But yes, ma'am, there is a glass of water by my bed at night. And I'm not going to tell you there's not.
This is when, if I was good with the internet, I would insert that ABC little GIF, the more you know thing, and I would put that over your head right now, but I don't know how to do that.
Nice. But yeah, it's true. And I get gifts now of that stuff, which is amazing to me. We have a Korean agent in the office, and she gives us things like mirrors and all those things, which are very, very big to them. And it's about good luck. And she actually has them branded Remax, which I think is cool. We actually got to meet the Dave Liniger of Korea.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Harry Shin. Yeah. And he was actually over here looking at property in Florida, and she brought him by the office. But yeah, he's the Dave Liniger of Korea, which is cool. But
if you're a consumer listener, Dave Liniger was the founder of Remax. We slipped into real estate speak for a minute. Sorry about that. So,
as always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.